I wanted to start with just we've talked about growth. We've talked about our 2 years being gone from the podcast. I talk about self-love a lot. So I want to kind of take it a little bit deeper than just surface level, and kind of talk about like what are some things, or what's one thing that you have learned about yourself within the past. It could be the past year, the past 2 years, whatever.
I guess I can kind of start just a year or two, because we've talked about some deaths that we've experienced in these last couple of years. So I think with myself, how us as humans, we strong but weak at the same time. Like when I say weak, I don't mean like in a like you're a weak person, but like how you have weak moments in life.
Yeah,
and
you have down moments.
Moments. I guess how can not weak. I guess that's not the right word.
Only reason why I wouldn't say weak is because when you're feeling something emotionally, that takes more strength to be able to confront that versus just pushing it away.
Yeah. So not weak, but more so just like, what I'm saying, like trying to find like, I guess, more so strength, more so, being vulnerable, telling people how you feel. But I guess in these last couple of years, I've just learned like how strong like my mental is, and sometimes how like some days I'll be like, my mental is not that great, but I'm still pushing through, going to work. I just want to kind of lay down because, certain days I just kind of get lazy mentally, and I just don't want to think too much, what I mean? And I think it's kind of crazy with that because, I see myself as a pretty conscientious person. But sometimes when I be thinking about too much stuff that's conscientious or deep, it kind of exhausts me a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's definitely exhausting.
So, and I understand now, like, why, people kind of consume themselves with a lot of entertainment. But also, I think that can also be unhealthy because, but I think some people use entertainment as just escapism, because sometimes too much real life be feeling just like mentally draining. You know what I'm saying? But what I can say I've learned, it's been like, it's been a lot, like, learning how to deal with my emotions and my thoughts, and just after like losing like a parent, it's just like, just trying to be more resilient and persevere daily. It's a lot some days. Like you just trying to push yourself some days to get out of the bed. Cause I ain't gonna lie, it be days I'm like, I don't want to get out of the bed today. It's rough. Like I don't want to leave. I don't want to see the outside world. Like it's just complete introverted. Like But I've learned that like pushing yourself like to go and get to work and get on the highway, drive, I don't know, some days it take a lot for me to just drive to work. I'd be like, I don't want to see no cars.
Yeah.
I don't want to see.
That's me every day.
I don't want to see people. I don't want to see
every day. I don't want to see none of y'all.
It's just like I just want to see just like my room and maybe just the kitchen and like something on TV that's just kind of ease my mind or just take me away from reality some days. But at the same time, I also think it's healthy to face reality because too much fantasy ain't good either. So I guess I've been learning to just be more of a balanced person in these last couple years, like not being so consumed with escapism mentally, but then not being too far from reality also.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You got to have a balance. Yeah. I think you got to have a balance.
Being a more balanced person, I think I've learned about being more balanced just mentally. You know what I'm saying?
So when you say you've noticed how strong you really are, or when you use the word strength, is it more so you are finally able to, because where I'm gonna go with it is more like emotional, like just being in touch with you and in tune with your emotions,
Emotionally
and knowing
intelligent is also
that's where I'm gonna go, and we'll get to that in a second. But
let's talk about that too, for sure. Absolutely.
So for you, it's more of like, because I think in order for you to get through things like losing a parent or losing anyone, you have to be able to bring that out and talk. And talk about it. And like when you suppress your feelings and how you're feeling, that's not going to do anything but make things worse. And I'm speaking from experience when I say that, because that's the reason why I started going to therapy. But just hearing you say, you're able to realize that you have strength through your emotions. That's so crazy that we're on the same wavelength, because that's literally what I'm. But is that where you're? Where you're
absolutely.
Going?
I think it's an emotional, because I always felt like I was emotionally intelligent. Like, but I think it's the mental, the emotional, all of that. I'm learning more and more about myself in those areas of life,
bruh.
You know what I'm
that's literally me. Like I am learning. I've been so amazed at what my journey with therapy has done for me, because emotional intelligence, you always hear that saying that women are more emotionally intelligent than men, and that is something that I wholeheartedly agree with, because as men, we are taught to not be emotional. We are taught that if we are emotional and we talk, we're soft or
I was
weak.
just about to say that, because they make it like I don't like the emasculation, like where they always try to like they like you just said, make it like a man is weak when they talk about emotions. Like that needs to be killed. Like,
yes,
they need to kill that. Like
it does. It does, because I think what that does. I'm going to speak about my experience. What I've learned about myself in therapy. And let me just preface this by saying therapy, there's a stigma on therapy that if you're someone that's going to therapy, people think that there's something wrong with you, or they think that you might have like a psychological issue, or you might be crazy. And I just want to say that is completely false. It's not true. A lot of people think that you go to therapy when you have problems in your life. And when you go to therapy, the therapist is supposed to help you fix those problems. And that is also not true. The therapist is there to help you maneuver through those problems, and they're there to listen. And in listening, I think a good therapist will have you listen to yourself, and you learn from talking about yourself. So it's interesting that you are saying, the emotional intelligent thing, because that is exactly what I feel like I'm the same as you. I have learned, I never had an issue with talking about how I feel or anything like that. But I think therapy has made me realize the root of some of the issues and traumas that I've experienced, and I've been able to like go directly to those moments in my life and actually open the door and like walk in and be like, all right, it's time to fix this. So I think that me learning communication is like the bottom for me of emotional. Like you start with communication and then you work your way up to emotional intelligence. I think. And I don't think I've ever had an issue with communication. I've always been the type of person who, if I'm feeling something, whether it be with family relationships, friendships, marriage, I've always been the person that's going to communicate. I never had an issue with communicating, but emotional intelligence is something different. To me,
it is.
It's something different.
It is.
To me, emotional intelligence is what you just said. Just being able to identify that your mom is not here anymore and you're not okay. You are not okay. Like there are some days when you don't want to drive, you don't want to see people, you don't want to talk, you don't want to get out of bed. That is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
That is so perfectly normal. And I talk about therapy a lot because you have to really put these things into real perspective. Mm-hmm. Think about all of the things that we deal with on a daily basis as a human, right? We have to get up. We have to go to work. Mm-hmm. We have to work for those of us that work 9 to 5s. Y'all know how draining that is.
Yep.
We have to pay bills. We have to make sure that we are, if you have a significant other, you have to make sure that you're being there for them. You're being supportive. You have to make sure that you're being a good friend to your friends. Mm-hmm. You have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself with self-care, your eating habits, food, making sure that you have time for your hobbies. All these things that we go through on a daily basis, I don't understand how there's nothing wrong with needing help.